This was a week that was, and frankly, there wasn't a lot going on, probably, in the sense of legislative action. But I will say this: just a couple points we want to make. First of all, our caucus, our party, I think, was generally disappointed by the actions of the Attorney General on, I think, Tuesday it was, in terms of her not going forward with the lawsuit, as I think every Republican in this state capitol had signed on to a letter urging her to do that. She thought otherwise, and in fact, she's going to file I believe, a friend of the court brief in favor of the Obamacare legislation. So we'll see where that goes forward. I believe I've heard the governor is going to act on his own behalf. I'm not sure if there's an avenue there where the Republican legislators can act independently of that, but as this goes forward, I think it will unfold in some additional news, if not in Minnesota, certainly nationwide. And then just thinking about where we are, and we're about a little over 2 months into this, so we've got a month and about a week left, and so I think there is a feeling of urgency here in terms of where we are and where we're going, and May 17th, and whether or not we get this job done. We've got K-12 left to look at. We've got Health and Human Services left to look at. We're waiting for some federal money, which we're not sure is going to arrive in time, depending on when time is. So there's a sense of urgency here, and I would only hope and urge that Senator Poggemiller, Senator Berglund, begin to unveil something. I think they can unveil something even short of the federal money if they want to do that. But at least let's begin the discussion. We can fill in that blank when and if that money occurs, and if it doesn't occur, then there's going to be some additional thought that has to go into, well, where do we find that $400 million? But I think that we ought to be moving forward. There's no sense just to sit on our heels here, waiting and waiting and waiting in terms of whether this federal money appears or not. So my urgency, or at least my urge to Senator Poggemiller, was certainly moving forward. In addition to that, this week was, this day, I believe, was full of news about the race to the top and education and moving forward there. And I'm sure we're going to be working with the governor on some of the initiatives he pointed out in his press conference relative to these bills that are on his must list relative to completing an application, a second application for this $175 million over 3 years. So our side is going to be working with the governor's office diligently on those bills, and certainly urging that we move forward with that, and hopefully getting that amount of money in the second round. It's important to kids in Minnesota. So I guess I would just say, looking forward, no special sessions. We're not going to have one, I'm sure. No tax increases. Let's just move forward and get this session over with. I think it's gone pretty well up until now, and there's not a lot left. We ought to be able to wrap this thing up and finish it up rather quickly. There's certainly outlier issues, the Vikings and so on and so forth. We'll probably come back to nuclear power once or twice again if we have the opportunity, but beyond that, I think most of us, have come to the feeling that the work is done or near done, and we ought to just move on and move home. I think, put it this way, I don't know, but my instincts would suggest that may well be the case. This is the governor, and going back all 3 years, and even in private, he's got a passion for reforming education, and this is his last shot at it. And he may well not move on that education bill without some of these initiatives. I think he feels that they're that important from the standpoint of things like pay for performance, the licensure issue. Those kind of things I know are critically important to him, and transcend politics. I just think he believes, and I think we all believe, they're important from the standpoint of the future of education in Minnesota. They're important to the kids, and I think from the standpoint of his legacy, education is one that's important to him. So the answer is I don't know, but my instincts might suggest to me that might be the case. Well, we're looking for the you know, the Vikings to lead. We're looking for, obviously, the DFL to lead. We don't have the votes to carry this. You know, I think we probably do have some votes in our caucus for the Racino, but that's kind of being played on the other side this year with Sparks and Junkie, and so should that go forward, we'll be waiting their for them to take initiative on this. I think, you know, we all realize how important the Vikings are to Minnesota, and I think within all of us there's a feeling that we need to move the idea. I think the speaker suggests, well, it can wait till next year. Well, I think that does get pretty close to the edge, and frankly, we have some time now. We've got a lull period, if you will, seemingly, and waiting for the federal money and to wrap this budget up. It might be a good time to take that Viking Stadium up and see where it goes, one way or another.
Are you looking for governor's leadership on it as well?
Well, sure, but you know, I think, you know, we propose, he disposes, and I think it's the legislature's responsibility to move forward to this, to set the tone, to move forward and provide some options with respect to legislation to make it happen. And so again, we're 21, they're 46. If they've got some ideas, I'm sure we're willing to talk to them about it and see where we can find some mutual support. I suspect that there would be some opportunities there. I think, put it this way, if we do recess, and I would go back, I think, to an article I wrote a couple of weeks ago, I think there's an importance for some time in which the legislature reflects on where we are as a state and where we're going and how we're going to get there. And what I'm talking about is the budget. I think it's not too early to start talking about $5.8 billion and how we deal with that deficit. I would far rather see us, if we have some downtime, to stay around here and begin talking about that issue than perhaps going home and doing nothing. And if not the entire legislature, at least the leadership staying here and really getting to work on where we're going next year. I think it's that important. We're going to come off an election next year, or come into session next year off an election, and we're going to be confronting this huge budget deficit. And it's going to be difficult enough to deal with that in the entirety of one session. Why don't we get a head start on it and start? We're going to do a solar bill, I think, next week, and probably free of that nuclear power moratorium, but there's probably some other bills there. Senator Sparks, I think, wouldn't necessarily mind if the nuclear power moratorium were on his solar bill, but he needs to say that. I shouldn't. But there'll be other avenues. You know, energy is a pretty broad subject, and it seems to appear in a variety of bills that we see. So, you know, I think that's, and that is one. We just met with the Excel people. I'm not going to suggest that they're for it, but virtually, you know, as we meet with our local utilities and so on, everybody tells us that we need base load energy. And we can build all the windmills we want, but we still need this base load energy, and we're 1,400 or so megawatts short, and from the standpoint of the economic prosperity of our state moving forward, we need that kind of energy in place, being there, ready to work every day, every night, and so on. You can tax the rich, you can chase them out of the state, you can I think, de-incent job production, and it just doesn't work. That is not the way to prosperity. In fact, we want to do the opposite of that. We want to take a tax burden off, if you will, those people that might be classified as rich, but in many cases are simply small business owners, have an opportunity to go from 5 employees to 6 employees, to buy that piece of equipment that can make them more productive. And so the idea of taxing the rich, I think, is just counterproductive to the growth and the economic growth of our state. It's just, it is absolutely counterproductive. That's what we believe, and we're not going to change anywhere soon, because I think it's core to us. How do you grow prosperity? You do it through free markets, and you do it through markets that are able to move forward and to function and compete, not only nationally but internationally. We just cannot grow prosperity by adding additional tax and regulatory burdens to our businesses. We got to learn that. I mean, in my own situation, you know, why did Hormel, Austin, Minnesota, just put 1,200 new jobs in Dubuque? I don't know the answer to that, but I got a hunch it has something to do with the economic climate in Minnesota.